So, as always, I got some beautiful rugby marketing tips for you. Of course, the reason I always do this is just because I want to make sure that we have ideas and that we're looking past our own um, obstacles. Almost sometimes I know whenever we're trying to work and create and do things to develop for rugby, we can get kind of caught up in in overthinking and or feeling like we just don't have the resources or the capabilities or the knowledge to do it. And like I said, it's something that I have learned, and I know for me, if I wanted to, I want to be the person that I wish I had whenever as I was continuing to do this and build up. So, I hope that you guys take it in. Of course, if anything, absolutely sign up a consultation with me. Maybe we can work on some execution tactics. And, I always love being able to help where it can be. And then, let's see what we can build because, as you know, I have a fire to want to make sure that we are kicking some serious butt when it comes down to the nitty gritty. I don't want it in 30 years again to be like, well, I'm 66 years old and we're still hoping to build the youth. No, we're doing it today. We're doing it now. We're doing it now. We gonna be ready. We're doing it now. I ain't playing no games. I ain't playing no games with people. But today's rugby marketing tips is what you absolutely need whenever you are doing your rugby marketing. What do you absolutely need? This is for your event. This is for your organization. This is for your club. This is for you as an individual, and really trying to make sure you're connecting over with these, businesses and companies. Like this is who you really need to be able to get after. But you have to make sure you have these to be able to push this stuff out and find your audience. So the first thing that I say that you need for your rugby marketing is you need to know your objective. And what that means, it's not just, hey, we're trying to build a tournament where we can bring teams together and we can grow the game. That's not an objective. It's not your objective. Your objective is what is the purpose for this event? For example, Midnight Sevens in Atlanta. All right. The purpose is a social tournament that is utilizing nighttime and actually amplifying nighttime rugby as a unique pool for people who often play days. Of course, creating social events scenario, but that play in the daytime that don't get the benefit of nighttime rugby. Like that's it. Another one. Uh, in Nashville, pitch a tent. What's the purpose of pitch a tent? Pitch a tent is rugby campout. We want to create the element of a festival format without the music and the festival being rugby. But it is a festival format for rugby. It's not playing rugby outside. It's not playing rugby obscurely. Well, kind of, yes. But it is what the feeling of a festival is, like a Coachella or Nash Bash or whatever, but for rugby. Perfect. It doesn't always have to be complicated, but it has to have a purpose greater than just playing. There's something that attaches greater than just playing. We talked last week. Create culture, not games. Number 2 is your audience. I think this is one that if you look up anything when it comes to marketing, this always comes up. Who's your audience? What's your audience? Who do you talk to? Blah, blah, blah. And it's exactly what that is. Like, who are you making this competition for? For example, for me, the HBCU Rugby Classic is built for propagating HBCUs and creating an attachment for fans. Creating something that's memorable for fans, not for players. Players get a residual memory because of the fact they're playing with people who are within the HBCU environment, playing around other black people, knowing that it's an environment where people like them are getting a chance to enjoy themselves, black and brown people, sometimes white people that are there, but understand like that environment is that and having that comfortable environment. But the objective, the audience that's for it are HBCU fans and fans of entertainment rugby. Like that's who I'm trying to draw in with what I try and do. I want newbies coming in. I want families coming in. This is where we aim towards. All right. I want students coming in. I want to set the seeds where that 5-year-old kid is like, oh man, every year we went to this. Get it? So know who it is that you're speaking to. That's basically it. You know, when you're creating this thing, a lot of times we create events that are simply for the players, and that's great. You know, and it's worked for a long time, but you know, it does have a scaling issue because it doesn't really grow outside of that. The people who just watch are the residual, but the audience is the players. I hope that we're beginning to work towards changing out of that. Number 3, whenever you're doing your rugby marketing, you need to know how to increase your reach. This is one that I've taken for granted. A lot of times, obviously, social media has made it so much easier to reach out to people. It is obviously a massive audience or a massive ceiling of an audience that we have, and it allows us to be able to post stuff, and the potential of it increasing goes. But it's not enough. It's not enough. And in the past, I used to be very bearish against collaborations with big streamers. I've said it before. I always used to get annoyed. Why are they putting stuff on ESPN? Why are they putting stuff on NBC? Why are they putting stuff on CBS? And a lot of people would go, obviously, as the reach. And again, to some extent, I still don't think it's super necessary. I think you need to always have your own platform and then license out stuff to other people. But you need your own platform. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. But to increase your reach, especially whenever you're at the early stages, you have to be able to grab onto someone's bigger audience. So I always love it whenever we talk about movies. And I think movies are probably the best way that we, as rugby administrators, players, coaches, etc., should reflect a process of promoting. In movies, Marvel movies, independent movies, you have to do a press run. And I think we take it for granted what that press run actually means, which is that's something for the movie people to not just, say just the same thing over and over again, but it's to borrow from other people's audiences. Like when you see something written on Vanity Fair or comic book readers or you see it on a podcast, like those runs are legitimately significant to being able to push out the name of your event or action. I'm just going to use event, but understand event means for anything that's dealing with a rugby, something that needs publicity. So this is what we use to increase reach. So it is dynamically important that not only are we continuing to talk to the people within our community, so all the podcasts, all the YouTube video shows, the influencers of rugby, we need to make sure that we're trying to talk on those. And you'll see me. This is something that I'm doing right now. But we also need to step outside that range and also be able to talk on those platforms. So I've seen a lot of people go on their local morning TV shows, which are great. Get more charming. It's early in the morning, but bring your energy way the hell up. Way the hell up. You are promoting something that's supposed to be bringing you in another value. If you're promoting it, you got to bring all the energy with it. Leave nothing behind. But that's how you get your reach. And the second part is why I said the ESPN and stuff is adding a distributor, someone who can also increase your reach as well, or at least for the short term, while you're trying to develop your platform underneath. The two sides end up being like a cheat code. And so what you do on social media just becomes amplified as opposed to just one part struggling. But you need that base. 100% need that base for the platform, but you need to make sure that you have somewhere where you can accelerate the process a lot more. Number 4, What is your story? Now, this is a little bit different than the objective. The objective is what is the purpose of what you're creating? What is the purpose of your rugby something or other? As a player, what is your purpose? Your story is how you're telling it. All right? You need to have something that's really interesting. For me, hey, look, when I came to the HBCU Rugby Classic, I saw in 2015 Morehouse College existed. I was like, there's HBCU rugby. And then I found out that Prairie View A&M existed, and I was like, I'm in the state that's right in between them. We need to bring this together because HBCUs are a legitimate component of American culture. And for us to create an American game of rugby, our American style of rugby, we need HBCUs to be a part of it. And so we want to be able to use this to add the dynamic of what we do on the grander scale. And you tell that. That's my story. That's my story. Oh my goodness, we were able to bring it together and the rest is history. And then, we can talk about struggles and stuff like that, but that's the story. Why? How are you presenting it? Why is this interesting? What's the storyline? I'll even use, Morehouse and Prairie View A&M have the biggest rivalry between each other. The biggest rivalry. Each one has won each of the HBCU Rugby Classics. Then 2021, it was kind of like a dull year because COVID kicked in. 2022, we weren't able to have it. So 2023, it's getting real. All right? Somebody wants their championship back, and now there's a third contender trying to go for it from Howard. From the women's side, there's only been one. Who's going to be able to take it in this next year? Is it going to be PVMU? Is it going to be Howard University? Is it going to be somebody else popping in on that? Like, who's going to be the next big hero? Because, this sets up the dynamic for smack talking. What legacy program is going to do it? Like, it's real. But we need to know how to tell our story. We got to tell because that's what gets people interested. That's what makes it impactful. I talked about this with Toulouse and the Rugby Alliance in Utah. It's great that you have two rugby programs going at each other, but why? What is the purpose for them to go at each other? I want to know. I need to know what's happening so that I can be drawn into it and I can get engaged into it. And now I have stakes inside the game. And you want to make sure that your audience has stakes inside this game. And if they don't have stakes, then they're not going to really connect. Yeah, yay for the love of rugby, but it's like charity. Charity only works until somebody gets tired. Nah. And number 5, last one. Be entertaining as hell. I mean, this is one part that I think is grotesquely missing from rugby. U.S. rugby, world rugby, doesn't matter. You've got to be entertaining, not just on the field. You got to be entertaining off the field. This goes back to the story. This goes back to a lot of components. But you've got to make sure that the people are enjoying more than just what's happening on the field. They need the lead-in. Even your lead-in has it. If you guys watch literally any major sport and game, there's a reason why we have commentators and we have analysts and we have all these people who talk on all these media. Whether you agree with them or not, they are the almost consistent reason why you through and you will go watch these games. When the NFL season is done, we're going to be hit by the draft talking draft, what's going to be happening. Do you know why we're talking about that? It's not because there's something significantly groundbreaking about people being drafted. Look at Major League Baseball. They draft and nobody really cares, but they also have their farm system, so that doesn't help anything. Even the NBA draft. People care, but not as nearly as much as the NFL. Why? Because we feel that the change of one person in that can be dynamic and additional change to what our teams can do. And why do we believe that? Because we've talked so much about how good they are. We've seen it. Now we have other people analyzing it. We see this, and we have other people analyzing it. You need to have the build-up and go into for what you're going to be doing into your event. Like, it needs to build up into it, and it needs to be fun. It needs to be exciting. It needs to be consistent. Okay, you want to say we don't have time? Find the time. Nobody can do this all for you. Find it. What is it you need? If you need something, you got to ask. If you ask something, then you got to say, hey, can I do this? And if it's something that you can or can't do it, how do I make it happen? But that's the only way that you're able to get these things done. Be entertaining. Like, this stuff is it's game changing, but it's so simple and so obvious. But if we continue to we put these barriers on ourselves, whether it's the tradition and value of rugby or whatever. But no, this is where we actually end up needing to go. So once again, going back on it. Number one, what's your objective? Number two, who is your audience? Number three, how are you getting out to that audience? How are you distributing it out? Number four, why? How are you telling this story? What is the story? All right. And number five, be entertaining. Be enigmatic. Be charismatic. Be crazy. Be happy. Be local. Be angry. Be something. But show an emotion that goes along with more than just being cool. Hey, it's cool. And even in the coolness, you got to be cool in the right way. If you're going to do it, that cool still has to resonate with people. Shout out Joe Burrow. It's like, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. So I hope you guys are able to take something from these rugby marketing tips for today. Please let me know what you feel on them. If there's anything you feel to add on to it, absolutely send it up in the comments. Hit me up on social media, and love to hear from you.